Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maggie. Today I am updating you finally on my rotating Pandos palettes. So I was supposed to do an update in September and rotate palettes, and I was traveling and just didn't get to it. So I had a bonus month with the palettes I was already working on, but I'm happy I did because I made some good progress that we'll talk through. So today I am wrapping up the second kind of rotation of palettes, and we will be starting on a couple of new palettes for the end of the year, which I think is very appropriate, and I'm excited to just switch things up a little bit. So I have two pre-made palettes and one Z palette of shadows that I've been working on throughout basically the summer. So I want to start with just kind of the updates of how many uses I got out of every shade. And then we'll talk through new pans and things like that. So the first palette here is the ABH Soft Glam 2. This is kind of like the mini of the Soft Glam. I love it for traveling. And this is what it's looking like. So I do not have any new pans in here. I kind of reached in here, periodically, but this wasn't a primary kind of focus palette for me. So no new pans. The pans that are in here I already had when we started this, but I will just talk through kind of the shades and the usage I got out of them. So this is Tempera. I ended up using Tempera 9 times. It was not like my primary, setting shade, but it works. Then we had Dreamer. I used once. Orange Soda I used 5 times. Dusty Rose I used once. Incense down here I used 15 times. I definitely was trying to put a little bit of focus in this shade. Sultry I used once. Mulberry I used once, and I did not use Noir at all. So that is kind of where we're at. I definitely am happy, it was in and I can poke around in here a little bit. But I didn't, have significant progress in this palette, which is okay with me because I made very good progress in the next palette. So I've been focusing on predominantly the Norvina palette from ABH. This one, I'm really happy with the progress I've made. So this is what my palette is looking like. So right off the bat, since my last update, I have kind of 2 big changes in this palette. The first one is I hit pan in summer. So that's this gold shade here. So I'm really, really happy with that. And I finished up base. So I was using this as my setting shadow. I had pan in it from last year when we started, but I did complete that all the way up. So I'm really happy with the progress I'm seeing in here. So let's talk through kind of my usage and everything that's, been happening. So first, Dreamer. I did hit pan in Dreamer during this project. So Dreamer, hold on, here we go. Had a total of 34 uses. I did, keep using it after I hit pan. This is a duplicate shade from the Soft Glam. So I was focusing on hitting pan in here. So I really, used this one more than I used the one in this palette. Then we have Summer. So I hit pan in Summer mid-August. So there's that. And it took me, let's see here, probably around 25 uses to hit pan. I used it 27 times because I know I reached in for it a couple more times. Then we have Wild Child, this shimmery pink. I used that 3 times. Rose Gold, I used 6 times. Celestial, twice. This shade here, Dazzling, I did not use at all. I hit pan in this last year, so this was already kind of displaying, so I decided to focus, on other shades. And then at the end here, I have Drama, which I did not use either. So on the next row, on the bottom, I have Base, and I did finish this up just yesterday on October 1st. That was great. And I used this 38 times. Then we had Soul. I did not use Soul at all. Incense, this is also a duplicate shade to the Soft Glam. I used this one 11 times. Then I had Love. I used this 9 times. I did not use Volatile, but I did use Eccentric 5 times and Passion once. So overall, I got a lot of use out of this palette, which is, very nice and it pleases me. And I am seeing obviously more pan and more usage. So we will be updating my tracker sheet with these updates here at the end, but I'm going to move into my final palette and talk through the shades in there quickly first. So I have a Z palette here. This is kind of like a smaller size, and this is filled with ColourPop shades. So I really like ColourPop palettes because they are magnetic. So I can pop the shades in and out, and I can kind of create my own. And I am obviously really trying to hone in on what I already have. I haven't bought any eyeshadows this year. And so the focus is definitely to get more usage, make sure I'm able to like see that I've used it with dips and pans and all of that. So this is the palette that I've been rocking for the last little bit here. This is what it's looking like. So we can kind of run through. The first thing here, this was called, gosh, I don't even remember now, Full Expose. And this was a matte kind of cream shade. And I did end up finishing this up in July. So I finished this up and then I moved on to base in the Norvina palette and I finished that one up too. So that's great that I finished this one up. The next shade here is called Coastline. This is from the Wild Nothing palette, and I hit pan in Coastline in June. So that was great to have. Again, another pan there. I don't know if you can really see that. Oh, I should give you my number. So Full Expose I used 31 times. Coastline I used 25 times. I definitely have used these shades, you know, in years past. ColourPop shades are pretty like tightly packed, and they are a bit of a deeper pan in my opinion. So it's not like it just took 25 uses and I hit pan. It definitely was, you know, more than that, but I didn't track all the years. Okay, so then on the end here, this is Top Down from the Wild Nothing palette. I really like this as a transition shade. It's kind of a peachy transition. This has 50 uses on it, and this is one that I'm really, really happy with the dip I'm seeing in here. So I don't know how much you're gonna be able to see. I'll just kind of move it around, but I definitely have a good dip going, and I think if I carry this over, I may be able to see pan at the end of the year. We'll have to see. But I am a little bit optimistic about that one. Okay, moving into this middle row here, I have kind of this taupey shade. This is called Rumored, and this I have 9 uses in. I really like it. I'm wearing it today. It definitely is a little bit more of a fall shade for me. I tend to go a little bit cooler, but yeah, I'm happy it was in there for a little bit of variety because I had a lot of warm, kind of golden shades. In the middle here is Designer Duds. I used this 6 times. And then on the end here is Hot Springs. I use that 7 times. And then on the bottom row is Spyglass. I only use this once. I really did not use like black liner at all this summer. So I used it once, but I don't know. I think in the summer, I just prefer a little bit of a lighter eye makeup. Now that we're going into fall and winter, I probably will start to play with liner again. And I just prefer to use shadow as liner. I use a wet brush and I can, you know, get it to be nice and precise. So only use this once. And then I have Alcove here, which I used 5 times, and then Morningside on the end, which I used 8 times. So I am happy that I used every shade in here, mostly more than once except for the black, but it's good because these are shades that, you know, are beautiful and they were kind of hiding in the palette. So bringing them together in a little Z palette was fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and update my tracker. If you don't know, in the back of my planner, I have a map of all of my palettes, and I use some color coordination to mark when I hit pan and I finish shades. So for me, when I have kind of the hashed diagonal lines here, that means I hit pan. And then when I color a square all the way in, that's when I finished it. So the color for 2023 is pink. So any of the hashed lines in pink means that I hit pan this year. And then when I color them in full in pink, it means I finished it this year. So we have 2 updates here. They're both from the Norvina palette. So first I hit pan in summer. So let's go ahead and mark that off. I'm just going to double check the placement. So summer will be this square right here. I'll have 2 pink kind of hashed lines in a row there. So let me grab my pen and we're just gonna mark that in. Okay, so now for the Norvina, I've got the 2 side by side, which is beautiful. And then I finished up base in here, which is this green one. So green indicates 2022. So I hit pan in base in 22, but I'm gonna color it in solid pink to notate that I finished it in 23. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that here really quick. Okay, so now it is fully colored in, and I know that that pan is gone, which is super exciting. So one of my goals for the year is to hit pan or finish 13 eyeshadows. So hitting pan in summer was number 6, and then finishing base was number 7. So I don't know if I'm gonna hit this 13 by the end of the year. I'd have to work really hard and hit pan or finish 6 shades. I mean, never say never, it could happen, but I just don't know if I'm gonna quite hit 13. I might hit 10, so we'll see. But that is something that I'm keeping track of. The other thing I'm keeping track of is my pan percentage. So I am currently I have 20 eyeshadows with pan in it in my collection, and I have a total of 133 eyeshadows, in my whole collection. So 20 out of 133 is 15.03%, which I'm really happy with. 15% is fantastic. Obviously would love to see that grow, but I'm very pleased with where I'm at. So that is kind of the wrap up for this rotation of palettes. And now I want to chat through the new palettes and the shades that I'm going to be kind of playing with and all of that fun stuff. So just give me a second here. I'm going to rearrange my Z palette with my new Z palette shades, and I'll be right back to introduce you to the other palettes here. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the Z palette, and then I will show you the 2 kind of pre-made palettes that I'll be working on. So for the Z palette here, again, all ColourPop shades, this is what it is currently looking like. So I have pan already in this shade here, but that is it. So hopefully I can get a pan to display in here in addition to this one, but let me just maybe talk through the shades really quick here. So this one with the pan is called Crystal Cove. This comes from the Wild Nothing palette. It is a matte with a little bit of sparkle. I find if I just tap my brush, those sparkles kind of fall off. So I will be using this to set my primer. I would love to see this finished up. I don't know if I'll quite finish it by the end of the year or not, but that's kind of the goal for that shade since I already have pan on it. In the center, in the top row, I have Wild Nothing's Top Down. So that's the kind of peachy transition I had in last time. I used it 50 times last time. So I would love to maybe see pan in there. I think it's a nice, just kind of easy go-to. And then at the end here, I have from the Bare Necessities palette, it's called Hot Gossip. It's a matte kind of brown transition crease shade, very, light, but a little bit warm leaning. So then in the middle row here, I have shimmers. And this first one is called Idle Hour. This is also from the Bare Necessities palette. So I actually started to dip into this one a little bit last time after I hit pan on Coastline. I started using this as my inner corner highlight shade. I used it 16 times in total during the last round. So I do have a little bit of a dent and a head start. I would love to see pan on it, obviously, but we will just see what happens. In the center here, I have a shade called The Talk. It's this beautiful kind of peachy golden shimmer. I really like using this one all over the lid. And this one, again, would love to see pan in it. I just don't know if I'm gonna bury down in there enough, but it's beautiful and I really like it. And then I rolled over Rumored at the end here. So this one also is from the Bare Necessities. It's kind of that taupe shade. And as we go into fall, I figured it would be nice to have that in there still. And then at the bottom, I have mattes again. So this one is from the That's Taupe palette. It's called Pebbled Beach. It's a little bit more of a cooler toned brown, and I think it can pair nicely. And then also with the other palettes I'm bringing in. This one is called All For You. It's from the Bare Necessities palette. It's a little bit more of a purpley matte undertone. So depending kind of which way I want to look to go. And then of course I have Spyglass again rolling over that I will use as a liner shade should I want to wear a liner. So pretty neutral, obviously. I am a neutral lover. I do have a colorful palette that I dip into here and there, but this is on par for me. So excited to see what kind of progress I can make there. And then the 2 pre-made palettes I'm going to be working on. The first one is from Alter Ego. This is the Canyon palette. This is kind of like the dupe of the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. So I have used this a little bit before. There is, you know, dips and things like brush marks and stuff. So this is what it looks like, and it is definitely a beautiful fall palette, very warm and rich in nature. I'm just kind of showing you the dimension. So it has these really bright flashes in the shimmers, but then it has this nice kind of depth to them as well. So I think between all of these shimmers, there are some mattes in here from my memory. The mattes can come off very pigmented. So that's why I wanted to have some more kind of transition lighter shades in here where I could start this and then kind of build up to one of these shades instead of being overpowered. So I do kind of think I'll be a little bit lighter with the mattes in here, but there's a lot of shimmers in here that I'm really excited to kind of play with. So that is going to be one of the palettes. And then the second one that is pre-made is my Natasha Denona Glam palette. So I had this in at the beginning of the year. I absolutely adore it. I did reorganize mine, so it's not in the same order that, you know, it would be if you bought this palette. But the nice thing about these is there are these like holes on the back. You can just stick a safety pin through and it pops the shades out, and then they're magnetic, so you can rearrange them. So within this palette, it is a little bit cooler toned in comparison to the Canyon palette, but I really love the shimmers in here. I do find that these ones apply best when I use my finger as opposed to a brush. So I don't know if I'll be hitting pan on anything, just because, you know, when you use your finger, you kind of hit a broader space of the shadow, but I think it'll be nice. So there are some cooler tone vibes in here, and then a lot of kind of neutral shades, so I can kind of go warmer or cooler. And yeah, I think this will be a nice pairing for fall, and then easing into, you know, through December, really. I'll use these until the end of the year. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next year for palette projects and panning, but I'm excited for these, yeah, kind of through the end of the year. So just to kind of hold the two pre-made palettes up side by side, they obviously have some differences in them, but I think between the different colors, it should be a really nice fall. So that is it for my update. I will kind of start over with my counts. So any of the shades from the ColourPop that I roll over, I'm going to start with 0 and just see how many times I use it during, I guess, the next 3 months. So yeah, that is it for me. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know how your panning endeavors are going. I really love seeing pans in eyeshadow. It's been one of the most satisfying types of pans I think I can hit in my collection. So hoping to see more throughout the next couple of months. And I will see you guys in November for an update in this project. And maybe I could have a pan by then. We'll see. That might be stretching it, but I really would love to see that. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.